Understanding one's cultural identity at first can seem like an impossible task, though once the layers that influence us as a race of people are pulled back, what remains is the lucid surface of what defines our own personal cultural identity. While trying to comprehend my cultural identity, I have concluded that I have been influenced by two major components in the past 22 years: my high schooling years and my parents' ethnical background. During my adolescent years, I was undergoing deep psychological changes and was privy to the opinions aimed at me by my teachers and peers. The ethnocentrism of my direct friendship group had a large role in defining how I judged my peers, my prejudices, and how I placed others in their roles of power. I recall a very influential time in grade 11 when my maths teacher would refuse to help me, regardless of the fact that I was asking for it, due to the fact that my social group outside of his class was perceived as artsy. As a result of his stereotyping, he thought that I was just trying to waste his time, which resulted in me failing maths that year because I did not understand a large portion of the material. This led me to question what I wanted to do with my life and gave me doubts about my identity and role. I realize now that his line of work led him to the effects of ethnocentrism as well. While my family are all Australian citizens, both of my parents come from backgrounds that are different from the Australian background I incorporate into my cultural identity. My father is a full-blooded Englishman, which has had an effect on my Anglo-Saxon views, though far more influential on my culture has been my mother's Italian heritage. In our family, and extended family, and adopted family, and people we once met in the street but would happily invite over for Sunday lunch, most emotions and opinions are expressed proudly and without hesitation, though some things are just not mentioned, and it is considered inherent knowledge about our culture to not talk about them. If someone is not aware of our cultural boundaries and offends us, it is expected that we reprimand the offender, even if they do not know what they have done wrong. This is very typical of the iceberg concept of culture, and I've had to relax my stance on this since attending university, which is another culture altogether. While the cultures we are exposed to as teachers differ greatly from one student to another, it is integral that we do not place pressure on students to perform at a culturally biased level, and therefore have cultural competent pedagogies. This can be very difficult, as some content may not be appropriate for some students due to certain cultural protocols. Example, Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people dealing with death. Consequently, teachers may need to treat each sensitive topic on a case-by-case basis, and possibly have to change lesson plans to fit in with protocols of differing cultures. This is what I understand to be two major points in my cultural identity, and how to overcome the cultural differences as future teachers.